Hey everyone, this is Dan from Wrench AI. Um, Excited to be with you today. We are announcing a new native integration with Iterable. Actually, one of what we think is one of the better designed CRMs on the planet. The two platforms integrate and mesh actually really well. There's a lot of the same kind of philosophy behind the two. And with that integration, we're kind of excited to just come and show you a really quick overview of how the platform works. You can get in touch with us at info@Wrench AI to kind of learn more and see how we can implement them on a custom basis for you if you like as well. So if you aren't familiar with Wrench, we've built enterprise AI that's designed to help you implement perfect personalization. Personalization is tough, and if you're even seeing this video, you know that this is how anyone worth their salt is going to be competing over the next 5 to 10 years. There is no way around it, but how to get there to a personalized strategy is actually pretty hard and nebulous. So Wrench, we went through, we looked at a lot of the metrics, we looked at a lot of the things that impacted personalized strategies, and we tried to come up with templatized methods of segmenting your user population that work at both the bottom up view, say your customer support or sales team on a one-on-one basis, and top down from your Marcom and your branding teams to help kind of integrate a method that they could both understand and implement either on a person-to-person basis or to a multi-million user database. What that looks like is a data integration, and as I mentioned, with iterable API key, we can actually get started very quickly and with very little right now. If you plug in the API key, Wrench will use as little as just the contact info that's already in your database. So literally just an email is enough for us to get started. And we can begin conducting about the equivalent of 2 to 3 hours worth of research per prospect just based off that email. You won't hit all of them, but the more contact info your CRM already has, say phone number, email, events, etc., the richer it will get. But with literally just an email and nothing else available, we could actually give you some pretty good insights on about half your users. So the key here is doing the data integration. As I mentioned, it's pretty quick. We'll upload your data. The AI will get started plugging several kind of algorithms in category sophistication and persuasion angle and things like that. We'll begin segmenting your user population and on a custom basis, assigning lead scores, right? So for your product portfolio, we'll begin not just looking at fit, sophistication, but intent, engagements, etc., to start giving you much more sophisticated, all right, will they purchase, and if they will purchase, how often or how much. As the data comes back in from those predictions, the AI begins to validate itself. It begins to optimize and refine its predictions. So a new event associated with a specific user comes in, it makes the prediction, it looks at the actual event to see if its prediction was correct, and then it adjusts and gets smarter accordingly. Once we pass your desired threshold, your comfort or your confidence threshold, like we need 80, 90, whatever percent confidence before we implement for our company, it'll start pushing those to the rest of the users. And until then, it'll give you kind of a needs more data moniker. So other services that we're already integrated with, it's worth mentioning too, if you're an enterprise and you actually need more data integration services, we've actually got data engineers and data scientists teams and services that we include with this. It isn't just standalone software. We can actually help you wrangle third-party data sources into either iterable or into your Wrench instance to make sure that we're giving you the best possible predictions. So if you plug in your API key and webhooks, this is what you'll start to see. So we have the email. The system has gone and started to do some research. It hasn't hit the threshold on a lot of them, but Michael at upfront.com here has been found. So this channel preference is in priority order: web chat, social chat, and email. For me, having seen a lot of these, this is probably new millennial. This guy is probably relatively, early 20s. Usually you'll see millennials prefer text before email. Web chat is usually the indicator of someone that's actually a new millennial. So you can start to see in a priority order how people would actually prefer to be contacted. The system can go through and do semantic matching based off kind of like reading LinkedIn bios and things like that. And by the way, these are GDPR compliant resources. They're not going into stuff that would spook people to have. If someone pulls out or unsubscribes from a specific service, we stop reading it as well. The goal here is to have good insights, but not be afraid or need to apologize for how you know them. So like for instance, LinkedIn is actually a pretty good spot to understand someone's category sophistication for a certain product because no one cares that you read their LinkedIn profile. it's the best version of themselves, quite frankly. So we've gone through and we've labeled amongst several kind of categories here the sophistication of these users. And if you know your own and you have a large, say, sales or customer service population, I'm not a handyman. If I come into home improvement and I see myself as a, I'm a 50, right? So if I see 10s, I know, okay, I need to actually simplify this pitch and help them understand a little bit more the education and decision-making process. If they're more sophisticated than me, I give them the hard points that help them make that decision and move on. But their decision should be actually pretty quick because they're more informed than I am. Beyond that, we can do list membership. We can do persuasion hierarchy. This enables you to start detecting certain personality types. Say they're more or less strategic, more or less spontaneous. You'll see things like comparison, which is, there you go, organizing based on competitive intelligence. And since these people are pretty highly scored, and this is probably a pretty knowledgeable individual anyways, based on these scores. Usually like an 85, you're usually talking to someone that is either as sophisticated as an industry professional or is actually an industry professional, but these are relatively high scores. So this person is saying comparison. They're basically saying, well, in those fields, I want competitive analysis and I want market analysis, and I want you, basically comparison has a definition we'll share with you, but it's essentially prove you did your homework. So the proper pitch to the proper person, and we can even start populating the right channels and everything that go with it. This is just kind of a short look at some of the metrics that are available. There are a lot of things. We've got several, custom scores and out-of-the-box scores that we can apply to your user population. So if you visualize that same data within the Wrench app, this kind of is for the marketing team to help understand at an aggregate view, what do we have? So you can see the category and product sophistication. You can pick and choose from a number of industries. Usually you'll want fewer just to keep it simple, but in the event, like imagine you're iterable and you need to do you can check iterable against iterable and just say who is really sophisticated in iterable CRMs that are enabled by AI and omni-channel marketing solutions. But if you ever need to do, say, a cross-branding campaign, you can combine that. So imagine a CBD oil campaign goes live, and for whatever reason there's a cross-promotional opportunity. They can automatically view the top 1,000 users from each of those segments in late adopters and early adopters and industry professionals to say, who do we already know in this space? Who do we call if we need to basically get feedback from an industry professional? Or early adopters that are usually less price sensitive, or late adopters that are more price sensitive and probably need much more education to convert. But you as the marketing team, this streamlines and simplifies much more about, all right, who do we have in aggregate segments? Journalists, influencers, bloggers, content creators, those are automatically recognized. We can automatically detect the outreach priorities, as you saw, add them up and give you the most common groups for the overall population. Same thing with messaging strategies. And if you like, we can actually collaborate in pushing campaign prescriptions for you. So, hey, we've got influencers and we want to do a endorsement campaign. If we've got a new product launch, we're a fashion brand or an outdoors brand, we're about to launch prototypes and we basically want to go see if we can get feedback for vision on the industry professionals. They're very sophisticated. We want to know what we got right, what we didn't get right. And late adopters that can help us understand if the message is simple enough that we've got something that's easily understood as well. Segments for all of the outreach priorities for this group, the messaging strategy, the experiment, the A/B and multivariate test is built in. We can even supply you with outreach templates that we'd suggest to go to those groups that just need your customization for your product on them. So if you combine all the tools here between Iterable and tools that auto segment and help you automatically recognize the users in your population and how you can best meet them where they are psychologically and behaviorally, you have a very potent tool to driving and really simplifying actually a lot of your work. You can focus much more on how do we make a message really special to someone that acts like this, as opposed to, a lot of the time when you're doing multivariate analysis, you're sometimes just guessing on, hey, what's very different from what I've already created that I can test against, and it isn't necessarily interesting, it's just different. So with that, let us know if you have any more questions. We'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and hit us up at Iterable at Wrench AI if you'd like either a demo or a conversation with a CSR. or contact your iterable CSR. We would be happy to have that conversation and show you what we can do specifically with your user population, and get you demos, quotes, and everything else you need. But thanks for the time, and I will talk to you soon.